I want to start today's show off with a little bit of a vibe check right now. So if you love the Atlanta Falcons, prove it to me by spamming me down below in the comments section. We just want to see how many diehard Falcons fans there are out there. Coming up on today's show, we have a relatively jam-packed show, actually. We got a lot of topics to go over, a lot of discussions to be had. So we're going to recap it all for you, break it down on today's show. And let's start things off by looking at an article that came out from ESPN that highlighted one move all 32 NFL teams should still make. And for the Falcons, surprise, surprise, it was adding a wide receiver. Clearly, Field Yates is a longtime viewer of the show because he feels the same way. Here's what Field Yates had to say. If you've been reading this piece from top to bottom, you've seen this suggestion pop up already in a few places. But it's especially true in Atlanta, where the team's depth chart beyond Drake London is currently led by Mack Hollins and Scotty Miller. While the Falcons ran the ball on the highest percentage of plays in the league last year, 51.1% of offensive plays, and have two possible stars in London and tight end Kyle Pitts, they simply must address the receiver spot with either someone already available or someone who could become available. And you probably saw this one coming a mile away. I tend to agree. Yes, I am understanding and I am in the camp of this is a run-first offense. You have Kyle Pitts. This is not going to be a team that asked Desmond Ridder to throw the ball 35 times a game. But come on. I mean, beyond Drake London, there is really nobody here for us to learn if Desmond Ridder is anything more than just a professional handoffer. Like, you are going to put yourself in a lot of situations to succeed if you run the ball well, if you get Kyle Pitts and Drake London going. But if you find yourself in a spot down 10 points going into the fourth quarter, running the ball with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier is not going to be a formula to get yourself back in the game. So I'd like to see if there are situations where Desmond Ridder needs to lead this team down the field one or two times late in the game to pull off an all-time comeback. And that's not going to be through the ground game. That's going to be through the air. And there are still some notable names still out there. We have talked about a lot of these guys already. DeAndre Hopkins and Jarvis Landry are free agents at very different points in their career. Landry would definitely be much more of a mentor than an impact player. Hunter Renfrow and Corey Davis, along with Courtland Sutton, are interesting trade targets that have all been rumored to be available for a trade, as TCU just ties it up, it looks like, in the College World Series. But some of these would have to be trade targets. Now, it is possible to still swing for a trade. At this point, Terry Fontenot is probably enjoying his summer off. If you couldn't tell, by the way, I've got the College World Series on behind me here. But screw LSU taking down my Tennessee Volunteers yesterday. But regardless, it is still possible to swing for a trade. I think if a trade were to happen, as I get back on track here, it would be because Atlanta had a price, right? They didn't want to spend or give up more than X. And if one of those three players' value or price drops below X, where let's say it was Courtland Sutton, for example, and Atlanta did not want to trade away a third-round pick, okay? And Denver wasn't looking for anything less than a third-round pick. Well, if August rolls around and Jerry Jeudy is looking great and they get Tim Patrick back and they go, fine, we'll do it for a fourth, maybe now the Falcons are ready to play ball and go, okay, we can, trade for a fourth, but we weren't going to do it before for anything more than or less than a third or whatever. So what do you guys think? Should the Falcons add a wide receiver? I'm in the camp of yes, I understand this is going to be a run-first offense. They've got a lot of options in the backfield. Hopefully Kyle Pitts can develop a downfield chemistry with Desmond Ridder. But still, I'd like to see a second option at wide receiver because if, God forbid, something happens to Drake London, teams know what's going to happen with the football. It's not going out to the boundary. It's going to Bijan Robinson. And that's going to make life very difficult for this offensive line when they're not just blocking 4, they're not blocking 5, they're blocking 6 or 7 because the defense is sending the house. Now, we have more coverage to get to, but it's been a bit of a slow crawl lately in the subscriber gang. If you have not subscribed yet, consider going ahead and doing so. We are trying to get to 13,000 subs before training camp gets underway. We have 306 to go. Help us reach our milestone, and in return, you get free Atlanta Falcons YouTube content. Second portion of the show is all on 24, talking about extending AJ Terrell because Bleacher Report suggested the Falcons extend Terrell this offseason. Here's what Christopher Knox wrote. Falcons may want to turn their focus to cornerback AJ Terrell. The 24-year-old has 2 years remaining on his contract, including the fifth-year option, but extending him now would make some sense. Would it? Maybe. I mean, Terrell has been a really, really good cornerback so far in his career, right? Entering his fourth season, he had a very solid above-average rookie season, and as a rookie, that's extremely impressive. His second year was by far his best of the three, and last year, once Hayward went down, he was sort of left on an island, and he got picked on a little bit and wasn't as good as I think we can all agree as his second season. Now, Atlanta has made a lot of renovations to this cornerback room. They bring over Jeff Okudah. They sign Mike Hughes. They draft Clark Phillips. There has been a ton of investment in this room. I don't think any of those investments were A.J. Terrell pieces in case they don't want to pay him. Terrell is the CB1 on this team for the foreseeable future. I think beyond his rookie contract, I believe he's going to get a second contract unless he really starts to slide down and he's not as good as he was his second year and the Falcons have long-term concerns and maybe it was just a flash in the pan, but I don't think that's the case. Now, when you look at the highest paid cornerbacks on average in the NFL, you had Jair Alexander and Denzel Ward both sort of reset the market last year for their respective teams. Jalen Ramsey, Marlon Humphrey, Marshawn Lattimore right there with them as well. Listen, AJ Terrell will get paid. I think after last year, there's not hesitancy from Terry Fontenot to get this done, but there might not be in a big-time rush to do it. There's still 2 years left. They're going to pick up his fifth-year option, and it probably isn't the best timing to extend him after what was, we can all admit, a bit of a down season. And so if AJ Terrell is looking to, reset the market and be the highest paid cornerback after last year's season, probably not the best time to do that. Now, if you think you can get AJ Terrell on a bit of a bargain because, hey, his value went down, not really, but, it could be a little bit cheaper now compared to maybe this time next year if he has another great season in 2023, I could see the logic behind it, but I would probably say, why not wait an extra year? I don't think there's a dire rush to get this done this summer. But what do you guys think? Should the Falcons extend AJ Terrell this offseason? If his second year was just like his third year, yeah, get it done now because the price is probably only going to go up. But for now, if he's already going to be getting top 5 money and he didn't look like a top 3 cornerback in the NFL last year, I would say that was Sauce Gardner, Pat Surtain, and maybe Darius Slay, someone else on that list, then maybe hold off for a year. Now, what we don't want to hold off on, though, is getting the Falcons t-shirt combo. So before we started filming today's show, our boss, Brett Scott, was going through some of the highest sellers across NFL channels here at Chat Sports. And shout out to producer Rolly and myself really shout out to you guys, actually, for putting the Falcons t-shirt combo in the top 5 in the office. Let's be number 1. Help us win that goal. Plus, you can get a 2-shirt combo, 40% off. Losing money. Atlanta, go to chatsports.com/ATL shirt combo. Links in the comments and the description of today's video. Final segment on the show, we say the worst for last, I would say here, is trading for Ryan Tannehill. Well, Bleacher Report suggested the Falcons go ahead and trade for Tanny, and if I had a one-word reaction to this idea, it would be no. N-O. I am not trading for Ryan Tannehill. It just doesn't make sense to do this in June. If you wanted Ryan Tannehill, you should have gone and get him in March or April. So he could have been there for OTAs and minicamp and really start picking up the playbook, which he already has some familiarity with Arthur Smith back in Nashville. But Ryan Tannehill is coming off one of his worst seasons since being a Tennessee Titan. Only played in 12 games, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I think that elite Ryan Tannehill year of 2020 to 2021 is likely behind him. His value has never been lower, and I don't see this team having a future with Ryan Tannehill. We don't know if there is a future with Desmond Ridder, but we're not going to find that out by trading for Ryan Tannehill. So I'm passing on trading for Tannehill. He might end up being a better quarterback than Desmond Ridder in 2023, but I'd rather see what you have in Desmond Ridder, right? Find out if there's a future with him. There's no future with Ryan Tannehill long term. There might be with Ridder, right? That remains to be seen. We don't know enough after just 4 games. But for me, I'm not interested in trading for a quarterback in June, July, before training camp gets underway. If you wanted to do that, you should have done that a long time ago. Now I feel like you should stay and be committed to Desmond Ridder at this point in the game. That is it for this edition of Falcons Today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to sign off, and we're going to catch up with everyone later.